Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest episode here of Between Two Teachers. My name is Consuelo Lara.
And I'm Madeline Cronenberg, and we're
And
here in the land of the Chochenyo, Karkin, Ohlone Native peoples, once again.
yes, and we are also in day 54 of Shelter in Place.
Day 26 of 54.
Day 26 of 54 of the pandemic, and hope you're doing well, and we're all just making the best of it as we can. So we are going to bring you some news and comments about education. We're going to start with international news. Okay.
So true. The pandemic has affected everybody. This is not a California or even a national issue, right? It's an international issue. So on our list of topics that I'm going to have on the Trello list, the first one has to do with the folks in Holland. And what they have done is they have the first ones going back to school, and they are back in school. And what they've designed are plexiglass surrounds for the teachers' desks and for the students' desks. So this is just the beginning of people coming up with solutions for social distancing and for not having to have. I think these children are not wearing. I don't see them wearing masks, face masks, or face coverings. So maybe this is in place of that. But anyhow, that's the direction we're going in. That's definitely the direction we're going in. That's what we're doing with planes. That's what we're doing in stores. But we're also going to do it in classrooms. Then nationally, I just wanted to give a heads up that there are some events happening. And one of them around education is the Education Equity or Else live stream that's going to be next week on the 14th. And it speaks about the danger and opportunity for public schools in the era of COVID. And it's done together with a number of civil rights groups and the Choate Foundation out of Chicago. The other part nationally, there have been all these statements made. And the one thing about this unbelievable catastrophic situation we're in with the pandemic is that education is going to be decimated as far as its funding sources are. And those are choices people make, right? They are choices. There was a choice made to stay home. There's being a choice made to bail out all sorts of different industries. There needs to be a choice made to bail out education. Children should not be the ones who suffer for this. So there have been a number of statements put together by various organizations to ask the federal government and the state government to come up with new funding to make up for what we are losing, and also to help us adapt to the learning losses that are coming up. So there's one from the state and education, a joint statement of education and civil rights organizations. There's a really powerful one from the New York State Teachers Association, Teachers Union, by their president, Mr. Pallotta, where he really speaks to the importance of, as we reimagine schools, not to exclusively go down the path that Governor Cuomo wants, and that we're all looking at with distance learning, and say that what we're going to do is replace our teaching and connections, our people connections, with all online connections. And so, as what he had said was, what we want to do is not forget that the importance of the whole child and teaching the whole child and keeping those connections. So as we go forward and need to add things to the classroom, you're going to add, he would like us to add social workers, mental health counselors, school nurses, enriching arts courses and advanced classes, and smaller class sizes. Things we've talked about for years.
yes,
Nothing new there,
yes,
right?
yes.
But we need them now more than ever, right? And as opposed to putting a lot of extra money into, we're going to need to put money into technology. That's not, that we're not going to do it, but it shouldn't be at the expense of these kinds of programs. Mm-hmm. So there's that. There's So that's been asked for by a number of people, and we need to just keep paying attention to that and not let it get lost in the big old shuffle. The other conversation that's coming out is the conversation around older teachers and how to protect our older teachers, and deciding how old is old, what is old, and what does that mean? What is that going to mean for our teachers? Are they going to be the ones who are tested first? Are they the first ones to be vaccinated? Are they going to wear personal protective hazmat suits? Is that what we're all going to be wearing? There's a lot of conversation around that. And then the other thing that's happening is graduate together. There are certainly national efforts to try to somehow create a graduation season for the graduates all over the country. And President Obama is one of the people who's very involved in that, and is going to give a big graduation speech next week. So we can all say Obama did our graduation speech.
Yes, yes.
It's a very, very exciting thing. And then we get to the districts. So you want to talk about the district?
Yes. Yeah. Now on the local scene, as a board member, we had our board meetings now on Zoom, and a lot of questions come up that I would like to hear some of your answers to those questions. And that is, are board meetings really serving the needs of our community right now? Are we using our time at those meetings well? Are we providing information that people need to know at this time? People want to know, for instance, do they have a job? How's the budget? They want to know about graduations and grading. And so there's a lot of information that should be a priority in our board meetings. That's the opportunity to do that. Are we doing that? Are we accomplishing that? That's my question to you. And what is happening? What do you see happening there? And so there have been issues about micromanaging and things like that. So that's my big concern. Are we doing a disservice in the way we handle our board meetings, a disservice to our community? And, we have time for public comment. You have about a minute for that. But you can also send your responses, your comments to me. And that way I could, share them. And I have longer than a minute. I can share all of these concerns. And I am very concerned about that. So we need to be better. That's what I think. We need to be better in all of those. So the main thing, we're talking a lot about privatizing. And one of the things I wanted to share was this book right here. It's called The History of Institutional Racism in U.S. Public Schools. And it's very dramatically and nicely illustrated, and it has all the major points. It talks about Native Americans and those boarding schools. They separated families. It talks about the Asian community and how they were targeted. And then segregation and the civil rights movement. So all of those key historical events are in the book. And then it gets down to the current, where we are now. How does racism play out in our institutions of education now? And one of these talk about No Child Left Behind. It was not exactly the best thing for people of color, children of color, or children of poverty. That one, Race to the Top, that was another initiative.
Yeah.
Also, none of these were effective. It's not like we could say, oh, wow, that really made a big difference.
Right.
What else? Common Core, not so good. Supposedly this was supposed to change everything. None of those things did that. And in fact, because of the stress on standardized testing, in fact, it did the opposite. The standardized testing did nothing but, objectify and degrade students, stigmatize them, certainly used to segregate. They also talked about smarter balance, that was not such a good thing for our children either. And how standardized tests are used as a very racist weapon against those children. And where does this all come from? Well, it comes from these philanthropists she calls them philanthrocapitalists.
Mm-hmm.
And they are Bill Gates. Up here, you see the Walton family, the Koch brothers. And way down here is Eli Broad. And
Right.
you see all of this strings attached to the prisons, because they're making a lot of money on all this. And the charter schools, it's very well illustrated. It's a great book. It'd be great for high school and even I think elementary, not elementary, middle school. They could understand this very well. And so when I saw this about the Walton family, that just reminded me that we have a local group, that organization that's funded by the Walton family and many, and Schwab and even Chamberlain, Scully, and that organization is called Go Public. So they are a part of this network of individuals who want to change public schools, supposedly reform public schools, but in reality, it's all about privatizing. So privatizing is the issue there, and one that we have to continue. We have to continue fighting all of this. So it's a great book, and I hope people will pick it up. And I think, I want to do a shout out to Abby Prather, who I visited her Zoom kindergarten class. Oh my goodness, bless their hearts. They were really concentrating. They worked really hard for her. But they are so squirmy. See, kindergartners try to do Zoom. Bless their hearts. They were just adorable, though. And so that was a big highlight for me. Thank you, Abby, for inviting me.
That's in the world of Zoom. See, this is, and it's important that we do it. It's not that it doesn't give us connections, because it does, but it can't be the only way we're doing it.
That's true.
I wanted to talk a little bit about privatization too. The Oakland Education Association has started their school board endorsements, and they're doing them online. And they ask very specifically what a candidate thinks about privatization. I mean, that's like their leading question. And those are publicly available if somebody wants to see the candidate interviews. So for people who live in Oakland or are interested in the Oakland school board race, that has really begun. And in addition, in Oakland and at UTLA, both of them are now working really hard on privatization to try to stop the co-locations, the charter school co-locations. That's UTLA did a press conference and a protest last week down to talk about their co-locations. And Oakland, here in the Bay Area, there was a group of public health organizations, civil rights organizations that came together with a document that they're sending to Governor Newsom, with a need for executive action to pause permanent school closures, the 24 closed schools they want to close in Oakland, and the co-locations during the COVID-19 pandemic. There's no way that you can suddenly adapt to having to share your school, which you weren't sharing when you left, and now suddenly have to when you come back. It's completely unfair to everybody, also to the people coming in. I mean, this is one of these things where we really do need to put a pause on it. The network, so all of them need your support. There, I have the information to them linked in here, as well as the Network for Public Education, which has got an effort to make sure that once again the federal government knows to not have the charter schools double dip on this federal money, which is what they're doing, right? And we've seen that. The other things this week, there were some efforts. Ways you can help with Californians for the Arts and support their efforts to make sure that we continue to have arts funding in California. And the Schools and Communities First, which is something we really need to support and vote for and organize around, because that will be on the ballot. And all the other things are we're hoping maybe to get them on the ballot or get into a budget deal, but this is on the ballot, and we do have power over Schools and Communities First. And then there were in the Marin Trujillo did a district parent event this week. And in that, there was somebody mentioned, actually, it was Leslie Reckler. I'll give a shout out to Leslie. Leslie is the director of Writers Coach, one of the directors. And they are looking for mentors. So if you want to help kids and while you're still at home and you could be a mentor, click on the link I have here for Writers Coach and consider being a mentor to a middle school or high school student in West Contra Costa. And the other folks that are looking for mentors locally are Richmond Promise. And Richmond Promise is looking for business mentors, really, which is what our CT program could also be looking for. So if you're interested in doing that, there's also a link to be a mentor through the Richmond Promise program and talk about what, share your professional abilities and background and advice with a high school student from Richmond. And that, then the last one is the charter school vendor regulation, where charter schools can now, under the current law, have a lot of latitude to be able to spend money. And there's one charter school, or maybe more than one, that allows students to be taught at home. So it's a virtual charter school. And they give the parents $3,000 a year per student, and that they're basically able to do whatever they want to do. So this is trips to Disneyland, this is dinners out, this is the type of enrichment that it really wasn't meant for. And so this bill, AB 2990, would stop that. They wouldn't be able to use it for anything, which is really what it seems they've been doing. And that's it. That shows that we're still busy. I mean, everything is marching on, even though it seems like everything has stopped because we're home. But it's not. It's marching on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot.
It is. There's a lot happening.
Wow. Well, we also hope you'll stay tuned for the second part of this. Today we are going to interview the Honorable Genoveva Callaway and talk to her about, she was mayor of San Pablo and also on the school city council for many years. We're going to talk about the relationship between the district, the partnership of the district and our cities, which is a very important topic for us. So We're going to talk to her about that very soon.
And it needs to be continued. So, it's evolved over time. And as each chapter, we're entering a new chapter now, I think, in so many ways. So we need to figure out what this new chapter might look like. But the way we've done it in the past can inform the next steps that everybody is going to take. So it's time for our joke of the day.
Are you ready? Do you want to
go ahead? You've got it. I know you've got it.
Yeah. Okay. So Madeline, do you know what kind of bait that librarians take when they go fishing?
No, Consuelo, I don't know. What kind of bait do librarians take when they go fishing?
They take bookworms.
Yes, they do.
Teachers,
another brilliant joke from our brilliant joke curator, Carlos. So thank you, Carlos, and thank you, everybody. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.